to the two of you. We appreciate you being a part of the conversation. Caitlin, good morning to you.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing okay. And Heather Tchaikovsky as well joining us this morning. Good morning, Heather, and thanks for being a
Morning.
part of the conversation.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. It is City Council Day, and that's coming up 6 p.m. tonight. Things on the agenda. We love having this conversation because it gives a chance for a little bit of a preview for the listeners and the viewers about what's happening with the City Council meeting tonight. And it also gives the opportunity for them to engage. There might be something on in the packet that sparks their interest and they want to be part of that conversation, which I think is important. And that transparency, Caitlin, from a city standpoint, I think that's important to you, isn't it always?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, that's great. And Heather, you are the community development director for the city of Ludington. I hope I have that right. You wear a lot of hats, but
Yes.
want to talk about that. What is we've talked with Caitlin, every other week, but Heather, what is part of your role with the city of Ludington? I always wonder if everybody understands the hats that you wear. Do you mind kind of diving into that for us a little bit this morning?
Sure. Well, it's changed a little over the years. It's kind of a transitional position, depending on what we're doing. But right now, we do a lot with planning, zoning, assessing, on the community development side of things, a lot of grant writing, looking at housing, development across the area. Um, we've recently transitioned some of our DDA responsibilities to the chamber, so they are now helping with events where before that was a main role of this position. So a lot of different activity with a lot of different departments. So it's a variety of things. So it's fun.
Well, I hope it is. That's that city government is always can always probably be a bit challenging, but when you can throw in the fun and excitement and as well seeing the fruits of what you are producing, I think that's always important. One of the events that's coming up is about the invasive species. We had Kathy Wachewski on just a week or two ago talking about that. That meeting is coming up, Caitlin, here in the near future, where the city is trying to combat the invasive species that tend to come up every year. But the more and more that we can focus on it, the more and more that people can say, you know what, let's see if we can eliminate this from our yard. And overall, the city becomes a better place to live and to enjoy. Take us through when that meeting is as a reminder for our listeners and viewers, if you don't mind.
Sure. Thanks, Chris. SISMA is going to be holding a workshop here in Ludington on May 8th at Harborview Marina from 6 to 8:30 p.m. To help residents ID invasive species and learn to treat those invasive species with herbicides and other methods. They're also sponsoring the workshop. It's free. And they will be talking about the three common invasive species that we have here in Ludington, and those are bittersweet, Japanese knotweed, and tree of heaven.
Hmm.
And I believe they will be doing, I believe they will also be going on a little bit of a tour to show people kind of around Ludington where those hot spots are and what they look like. But there will be some examples of what those invasive species look like at the marina for those who may have mobility issues or things like that. So
And I,
um,
and
May 8th, May 8th at 6 p.m. at Harborview Marina.
and City Council member Winchesky brought up that Cartier Park has a lot of that. Have either of you experienced just walking somewhere, as an example, in Cartier Park, and seen this invasive species? Uh, can you identify it yourselves, or can it be challenging?
Hmm. No, I've never identified it. But I guess I've never really consciously been looking until Kathy started bringing this up to everyone, and what these species were. So it'll be interesting to go to the workshop and learn more.
Yeah, for sure, and probably something that we've passed by multiple times and think, oh, that looks pretty interesting, but then thinking, hey, that's kind of a danger to the environment there. Again, May 8th, that's going to be an important meeting, and we'll bring that up as we get closer to it. Let's talk a little bit more about what's happening with the city council meeting tonight. That is part of the conversation, obviously, this evening. But also, you've got to adopt a resolution in support of the invasive species management plan. That looks like that will go forward in relation to that. But
Hey, Chris,
20, yeah, go ahead.
if you go out to Cartier Park on Thursday, we held a tour for the new council members that we have. And if you're out at Cartier Park, there's actually some signage and educational materials that call out the invasive species.
Okay,
And there's a large fenced in area where they've kind of cornered off some of the invasive species, and SISMA is trying to treat it. So there is an area where the pavilion used to be, that we're working on rebuilding,
okay, yeah,
finding some funding for that and putting up a new structure. So for those of you who are familiar with that area and where the fishing dock is, you can see where there's some Japanese knotweed there. If anyone wants to go down there and familiarize yourself with that.
yeah. And what Kathy had mentioned that really stuck out for me was the fact that uh, the roots will go very deep into the ground,
Mhm.
and so having those professionals and remove it, that's going to be important from the city standpoint and from the residential standpoint too. So, looking forward to discussing more about that.
Yeah.
The next topic is it a sore topic when we talk about the water and sewer rate study? Does that mean that it's going to be additional cost to the community members? What do we look at there? Break it down for us if you don't mind.
So I don't know if it's going to be a sore topic or not, Chris. When I started, I had some not necessarily concerns, but we have some needs. We have some individuals who are going to be retiring in both departments. We have some part-time positions that need to be funded. Um, and those are in the water and sewer department, meaning that the water and sewer rates fund 100% of those individuals' salaries and benefits. Not the general fund, not tax dollars necessarily, just the water and sewer rates. We also have the lead service line project, which is the state funded mandate to replace all of the lead goosenecks in municipalities around the entire country. And we have to do that by 2042, I believe.
Can I
Um,
can I stop you there on because there was a story that came up over the weekend about another city outside of the state of Michigan that was kind of dragging the story was kind of like that they were dragging their feet in regards to replacing this, and obviously it all depends on the finances that they have, and there's a cost to this. When I was reading that story, I was wondering where is Ludington in regards to on pace, behind? Is there going to be a time where funds might run out? Where is that effort in regards to the replacement of those lead pipes?
so great question. We I don't have the numbers in front of me, Chris, but we have we have a consultant, and our DPW department is managing the replacement program. We replace so many lines per year, and we're on track to replace the lead goosenecks by the deadline, right? By 2040 or whenever that year is.
Okay.
The part that is concerning is um, we don't have a grant for this work. There really aren't any grants to replace lead service lines. The financial pieces out there to fund these projects are um, low interest loans.
Okay. Well,
So the
and
city of
with
the city
go
of
ahead.
Ludington's plan to fund this, was with our water rates
Okay.
and the surplus money that we had. Well, that surplus money has ran out. So our backup plan then was to fund it with low interest loans or zero interest loans. And that's really where we're at. We have the money to complete the 2025 construction. And then 2026, there really aren't any funds. So we need to do a rate study now to figure out what would it look like if we got a low interest loan and what that payback rate would look like, or what would rates need to look like in order for us to continue our construction schedule as planned. But then also maybe what adjustments do we need to make internally, whether it's putting some other projects off to kind of offset that increase, right? So to be honest, I don't know. It could be close to cost neutral. Rates could go up. Rates could we don't know until we do the study. That's
Well,
the purpose of a study. We're not due for a study for a full year. Generally, we do a rate study every 5 years. But so we're in year 4 of the 5 year since we've done a study, but there's enough signs that we should do a water and sewer rate study now. So I'm asking council if we can do our water and sewer rate study this year instead of
Other than-
holding off
yeah.
another year.
Well, and Heather, I'm glad you're joining us because you deal with a lot of the grants, and just listening to Caitlin here in the last moment or two, I would assume it's easier to secure grants that not everybody, every city and township and town in the country has to replace these pipes, and so when you have everybody trying to grab dollars, it probably makes it very difficult to try to even find, as Caitlin mentioned, grants that will help with finances in that department.
Yeah, and there's typically not a lot of grants for things that are unfunded mandates. So, like Caitlin mentioned, the world of grants is not usually for normal service type things, so they expect you to figure that out internally. So
I wonder, because everybody has to do this, and it's something that is consistent business year after year after year for, and maybe I'm wrong in regards to this, but just to clarify this, the replacement of the pipes, it's done by the city, or is it contracted out? I guess is my first part of that question. And the second part is, do you see that costs have gone up year after year after year for this, for something that is, again, consistent business for, if it's a contractor, for years to come?
It is something that's contracted out. So the city does not do the work. We don't have the manpower for something like that. Most cities don't. Nor do most city employees have the expertise to necessarily do that work. And then, at least in our situation, as far as I'm aware, our contract, that rate is locked in
Okay. Good.
for now. And I'm sure our contract is written where the rate is locked in for so many years.
Hopefully the next 20 years would be nice. But things change for sure.
Yeah. Yep, they
do. So, and again, both of you are in government. So and usually what happens is you get to the next fiscal year and the funds are there. Somehow you work your magic, you work the numbers, and it just works out. We're not going to, as far as you know, get to a point next year where you do tell the citizens of Ludington, okay, we can't do the pipe replacements, the lead line replacements this year. You don't foresee that happening, though, do you?
No. I mean, there are times where you do shift depending on the priorities, right? I mean, there's a reason why we have until 2040 or 2042 to get this work done. And if we have to pause for a year to let funds rebuild, then that's what we have to do. There are hundreds, thousands of communities around the country that haven't even started
Yeah.
working on this. They haven't even sat down to have the conversation of what consultant do we want to hire, or how many lead service replacements do we even have to do. So I think we're in a good spot.
And of course, the question that people will always ask, I would assume it's probably on the top of the list of inquiries that you get when this subject comes up, is is there any health risk to this? Obviously, the replacement is happening for a reason, but how can the city reassure their citizens in any city that it's still okay for this process to take place over an extended amount of time?
Sure. So that's a great question, Chris. And every year, all city residents and businesses receive a drinking water quality report, and our water treatment plant superintendent Jamie Hackemeyer is getting ready to send out the next water quality report, and all residents and business owners will see that we do not have a lead issue in our drinking water. So even though we might have lead goosenecks in town, it is currently not an issue here in Ludington in our drinking water supply. So thankfully that is not an urgent issue here in Ludington.
That's good.
So
And
it's
that means you have a robust facility, a water treatment facility there that's doing its job, and not only services Ludington, but if I remember right, Scottville and other areas, that there's a connection there.
yes.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Caitlin Aldrich and Heather Tekowski from the City of Ludington. City Council meeting tonight, 6 p.m. The approval of the 2025 water and sewer rate study is on the agenda tonight. The first presentation of ordinance 557-65, which is what? Fill in the blank for me on that.
That's to essentially renew the contract for our city assessor. We've had the same assessor. Heather, can you tell me, has Dan been here for 5 years?
Oh, pretty close. I'd have to go back and look at the exact date, but yeah, he's been with us for a while now.
Okay, so his contract expires on the 30th, Chris. So we are looking to renew his contract for 2 more years. And that the city, if you have a contract for more than a year, it's presented as an ordinance. So we are looking to renew our city assessor's contract again for 2 more years. He is slowly stepping back, and we have a staff member who is currently a level 1 assessor, will soon be a level 2 assessor, and is assuming more responsibilities. So our contracted assessor is slowly stepping back so our employee can take on some more responsibilities. But that's what that agenda item is about.
Last time that we talked, you had mentioned there has been some changes in staff there for the city of Ludington. I wonder is it, and people come and go, we understand that, and they come and go at certain times. Do you see that for the city of Ludington that it's almost where there's a lot of change because so many started at a certain time? Or is this just kind of the flow of city government in general? Do you mind explaining that a little bit?
I think it's retirements. I think it's the flow of the economy. Heather, do you have any insight about? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I know that's where I started. Do you have any insight? If you don't, that's completely fine.
Well, I would say we've had a lot of people that have gotten to the age of retirement closely to around the same time, or people who stayed on past retirement for a life event or other things and are now at that point where they're like, it's time to retire. So in the 18 years I've been here, that's when we've seen people transition or leave is more retirement. I mean, it's a great place to work. It just, you get to a certain point and you're like, all right, I'm on to the next thing. I'm young enough to go have some fun. We hear from past employees all the time about what they're doing now. One's out, being a musician. Other one's out, enjoying snowmobile. It's just, they're near retirement age. They can do it and they go and live their passion now.
Well, and that brings up that second part of the question for either one of you. Is it difficult to recruit for city government? Is it difficult to recruit the younger generation, or we talk about that in normal business life, but when it comes to working for the city, is it a challenge?
It depends on the position.
Okay.
And what the expertise level is. So like Caitlin mentioned, our water and sewer plants, they require a certain certification to even be able to work there. So that's a little different scenario. Police department, again, certifications, things you have to have.
Yeah, I completely agree. And same with, here in the front office, if you can go get a finance degree or anything like that, but government finance is its own beast, and you can't just go to school for government finance. It's very specialized. It doesn't matter what degree you get. You can't just go study government finance. It's an individual class that you have to take separate from any college, I guess. And it's really unique. It's hands-on experience. And then there's also that balance between generally public positions. They don't pay as well, but usually the benefits outweigh that. But the public sector has struggled, I'd say at least for the last decade, where the cost of benefits have risen so much that it's difficult to carry that weight, right? And to continue to pay those competitive benefits. So it's just I think all sectors are feeling that, but the public sector definitely feels that too. So
and from what I'm observing with our conversations, the last time we talked, this time we talked, is that you are doing a lot of promoting within and giving opportunity to hopefully make a little bit more money, maybe some additional benefits there. Is promoting within a high priority for you?
I think it's something that has been a focus in the last few years, especially with the previous manager, is working on succession planning. And it's definitely a goal of mine as well.
Okay. Again, if you're just joining us, Caitlin Aldrich, Heather Tykowski from the City of Ludington joining us. Heather, we're going to put you on the spot with this short-term rental licensing program that is on the agenda for City Council tonight. Give us the foundation before we talk about what's going to be the topic of conversation tonight specifically, if you don't mind.
So when we're talking about the short-term rentals, as you know, the city is typically only allowed 50 short-term rentals. And that is outside of hotels, motels, things that typically are in their essence a short-term rental. These would be typically houses in neighborhoods. So that was kind of the point we were set at. We also started redoing the UDO at this time, which is our zoning ordinance, or it's now a unified development ordinance, and kind of took a look at Ludington and how it should grow, where growth should be, and kind of looked at our long range planning in that respect. And where do you want commercial activity to happen? Well, you want that to happen in your downtown center, your commercial centers. We had requests over the years for additional types of condos renting in a short-term capacity, and some of those did that in their master deed when they came in. So there were some caveats to that 50 number in the short-term rentals. So as we went through that process, which was almost a 3-year process, we looked at downtown and that downtown district and kind of said, there's no reason why we shouldn't allow some short-term rentals here, while still balancing, the need for residential and long-term living in downtown to kind of make that complete package. So we did open up the idea that you can rent short-term in the downtown up to 3 units per building. But then from there, if you're going to have more units, you either need to go into the long-term program with those additional units or become a small hotel or a large hotel. So previously we had this strange category called a boutique hotel, and it could be up to 1 unit. Well, that was essentially a short-term rental. So really we're cleaning up the language, kind of making that across the board kind of the same for everybody to kind of get into the program. So.
And when you define short term, what is that range? There's, I would assume, a minimum and a maximum there, right?
Yeah, it's less than 28 days for short-term rental.
Okay.
So that's how that's defined.
What is the and I'm just curious from my standpoint, what is the advantage and I guess the disadvantage? Let's take both sides if you don't mind, just for a moment here. And I know we could probably talk about this the entire day,
Oh yeah.
but what is the advantage and disadvantage to capping that at 50 from a city standpoint?
So when you're talking about the neighborhoods, the idea to cap that at 50 is that a neighborhood is more, it's a residential setting. It's not a commercial enterprise. And so by capping it and having a distancing requirements, you're not impacting those long-term residents in just one area. So for instance, if we didn't have that, I could see a concentration of short-term rentals happening near the waterfront.
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense that people who come here want to be by the water. And then you have this idea that now you're separating residential uses and people aren't able to enjoy their property if they're surrounded by short-term rentals, but they live here year round. Typically people are here on vacation. You're going to stay up later. You're going to hang out. It's going to be a little noisier. So in order to keep the integrity of the neighborhoods, that 50 was what was settled on. It started at 30. They jumped it up to 50. And now everyone kind of feels that that's the right number, just from practice over the years. So.
Well, and that would be my second question is from those that are permanent residents or long-term residents, I guess would be, you have received confident feedback from them that things aren't, it's not a revolving door around them. They are comfortable in their environment without, seeing somebody else move in for, or Airbnbs as would be, or whatever that comes along. Do you feel that the residents are accepting of that number and there isn't any issues at this point?
I think we've only had one issue that was a noise related issue over the last several years. But yeah, I think with the rules we have in place and knowing, who's there, who's where, people feel confident to inquire, or call who they need to. They can call the property manager if there's an issue. So there's an avenue to solve problems without just, calling the police or getting upset. You call the property manager deals with it, and it's worked. It's worked very well. So
yeah, absolutely. A question for you in regards to this before we get to the ordinance for the nighttime for the council meeting tonight. Do you see Ludington as a city that has enough hotels, Airbnbs, those opportunities to attract people? We always say that Ludington, in the summer, it's, we've got the tourists coming into town and visiting and such. Do you see that it's sustained at that level where people are able to still visit and it's not where everything is booked solid all the time? And we talk about, that summertime is the time where a lot of the businesses will make a lot of the money to help them survive. Is there the ability for Ludington to sustain bringing in people for that short period of time so that they can enjoy their experience in the Ludington area?
I think there are a lot of options. There may be growth and room for more. I think it changes every year. And we get data back from the CVB on occupancy rates. And I don't know those off the top of my head, but Brandy would have all of those over there. But I think our largest challenge is long-term rentals, is having enough housing for those who live here who want to come here full time. We don't see houses stay on the market long. We see them, grabbed up when people even get the idea that a house is going on the market. Realtors have people who are waiting. So the long-term housing market I see as more of a challenge.
And they're working on that,
Absolutely.
with Christy and everybody there.
Mhm.
And something certainly we want to bring up here in the future. We've got just a couple more things. I know, Caitlin, you've got to get going here in a moment. You have this no smoking in parks. And what else, really quickly on the conversation do we want to talk about tonight?
Just a few quick things. Bella's Mile was approved as an event for August 16th at our last meeting, and that's just a quick schedule change to July 12th. So hopefully that will be approved.
Okay.
Reapproval of providing fire services outside of the city of Ludington at a rate of 1.15, the millage rate. And then a resolution, I believe, to allow lemonade stands around the city of Ludington
Yes.
on June 7th in support of childhood cancer awareness. So if you see lemonade stands out on June 7th, please take the time to stop and support those. So looking for that to be approved tonight as well. And then I believe the fireworks application for the JCs is also on the agenda as well.
And it's exciting to see those opportunities, the lemonade stands, multiple people come out and travel to each stand and see that, and supporting the childhood cancer campaign, plus the JCs with the fireworks. I think that's just a staple. It's a way for the city of Ludington to bring the community together on those events, as it would be in Stearns Park and Stearns Beach. It's the place to be for sure.
Yes.
For the 4th of July.
And then just a reminder, we do have, with Memorial Day next month, our next council meeting is in a week. It is next Monday. It's not 2 weeks from today.
Okay.
And then we are looking at Rath closing one more time for the final repaving. Still working with Triton on that final date, but looking like April 30th. So on Wednesday, that might close back down again for the final repaving. So just wanted to throw that out there. Heather, did you have anything from any events coming up that you're aware of that you wanted to note, or
Just look for Love Ludington weekend in the second week of June again this year. That's about it. Coming up real quick. So
Yeah. So summer will be in full force here quickly. Well, we appreciate the two of you, and I'm sure the community does each and every day as well. And our viewers and listeners here on Mom FM and Hot Country Hits, just to go through some of the events and happenings. And when we look at a city council agenda, sometimes it might look like, oh, there's not a lot happening. But when we have these conversations and dive into it, it seems like there is a lot of activity going on, and a lot of things that to talk about. So we do appreciate both of you taking the time, and we'll connect, I believe, next Monday. Then, if there's another city council meeting, we'll have another conversation about it. So,
hey, Chris, could I take 90 more seconds?
Absolutely, yeah.
So there is one other thing. So starting today, our office hours are changing. We are switching to Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then Fridays 8 to 12. So technically the office is open like 2.5 more hours per week.
Mm-hmm.
We're opening 4 days a week earlier to the public for those people who start work at 8 a.m. and want to try to come in and get their business done right at 7:30. Reason for the office hour change really is for a couple of reasons. Number one, foot traffic, phone traffic patterns. Fridays are generally very quiet. And also something we touched on earlier is that work-life balance. How do we retain people? What kind of benefits can we offer? And one of the things that kind of keeps the workforce nowadays is a flexible work schedule. And so with that lighter foot traffic on Fridays, trying to get, maybe some staff out of here early on Fridays was attractive to folks. But what was attractive to the public is having earlier office hours for those who work. So kind of combining those two things, we're gonna pilot these hours for a full year, see how it goes. Go through all the seasons, go through all of those ups and downs throughout the year and various holiday schedules. And however, when there are elections and tax collection seasons, and we do have to be open through that 8 to 5 schedule, we will accommodate those times. But I wanted to publicly announce that, and I'll announce it tonight at the council meeting. And our hours are posted on our website, and I believe on social media and on our building as well. So
I'm glad you brought that up, and you're aligning yourself with what's happening out there. Last Friday, I went outside of our doors here at the offices, and the parking lot was nearly empty, and we share it with other businesses in the complex, and it's like, yeah, it makes sense to align yourself with the workload, with especially the community coming through the doors, and wanting to be able to do business early in the morning too. I think that's an important part of it. So I'm glad you shared that with us.
There are two popular things.
Yes.
Boat ramp stickers. They can be purchased at both marinas and Cartier Park.
Okay.
So if it's Friday afternoon and you're like, oh no, I need my boat ramp sticker, city office is closed, you can get them at the marinas at the kiosk,
Okay.
or at Cartier Park Campground. If you're looking for a season pass, keep your receipt from that kiosk. And when City Hall opens back up during the week, you can turn in your receipt and receive credit towards your season pass.
That's a great thing to know.
So you could still get that service. And then I'm trying to think, if you still haven't received your leaf bin, your yard waste bin, and it's a Friday afternoon and you were hoping to get that before Monday, your leaf bin wouldn't have been delivered until the following Friday anyway. And if it's a renewal, you can still call Monday morning right at 7:30, and we can call Republic and have them pick up your yard waste still on Monday or Tuesday, depending on which side of town you live on. So hopefully we can accommodate those two fairly popular needs. But otherwise, feel free to reach out to myself or anyone in the front office if you have questions.
Good information there.
Thank
And
you.
as you transition,
That is online too. So if you go to our city website, the invasive species information is there.
Okay.
Council packets, everything should be there.
absolutely. Well, and we'll post some of the links in the comments section on these videos on our YouTube and our Facebook page, and we'll remind the viewers and listeners as we go along too. I think that whenever you transition like that with hours and different procedures, it's important to keep that information out there. So appreciate both of you. I know you've got to get to a meeting and start your day and all that good stuff. Well, we appreciate both of you, and we will pick up the conversation coming up next Monday again as we continue to focus on the city of Ludington and what is taking place. Don't forget City Council tonight, 6 p.m. at City Hall. Everybody invited to attend to voice their questions, concerns, and feedback in general. Thanks to the two of you for joining me this morning.
Thank you.